and I'm gonna jump out.
I'm pushing the go live. It's not doing anything on Instagram. Oh, I'm just impatient. Wait. Yeah, I'm just impatient. So excited. Faraji, I already brought you up because I don't know what I'm doing. How are you?
It's the great Dr. Bridget.
It
Good. How are you?
is. So I'm so excited to do this today. This is Healthy Relationships Only, where we discuss every aspect of relationship and accept nothing less than healthy relationships only. And now that we have transitioned into our new format, of course, the first person that I wanted into this space, of course, the person I spend every Monday afternoon with is the great Faraji Muhammad. How are you today?
I'm good, doctor. And it's I'm really excited because this is your space, your platform, and I am like super proud of you to even start the YouTube channel, but more importantly, I'm just super proud of you and supportive of the work you're doing. So it's a no-brainer for me. It's just like, all right, what time?
Yeah, I love this. I love this because, and let me tell you, just being, I do the doctory stuff, coming on your show every week on The Culture, on Black Star Network. If you aren't seeing it, you're missing it. But I definitely felt that there was just in everyday interaction, communication, that there's a piece missing, right?
Yep.
And that a lot of the talk that we, engage in is around mental health.
Right,
but
right.
There's the nuances of accepting behavior that may or may not be good for you because we have no other idea of what that means. And so I wanted to do something called Healthy Relationships Only. I think it can create accountability for people and make them really think about, sometimes we accept a situation because we just don't know anything different.
You
shouldn't be in relationships that don't feel good, right? And you should have skill sets to make potential relationships better. So that's what I hope that we talk about here today. But Faraji, this has been on my mind. So I'm going to throw this one at you.
Go ahead, hit me.
Okay, and I'm sure, I have no doubt that you've been talking about this on your show, but the whole Cat Williams thing, right? And I have a lot of respect for honesty and him, being his true self and sharing what's on his mind. No problem.
Yeah.
And then he brought on Monique and sharing her truth and what she had to say. At the same time, we've been dealing with this whole Puff Daddy and was it TJ?
TD Jakes, passing TD Jakes.
Right. And all of this, I don't even say inappropriate, secret relationships that they're saying that, certain men are having that are celebrities or what have you.
Yeah.
And it hit me today, like, why? Okay, I'm all about the honesty, but something bothers me about culturally sharing our dirty laundry a little. Like, I feel like we're just out there just I want on it. Like, do you understand what I'm trying to say here?
No. I think this has been of great concern for me too. Right. It's been such a concern for me that I actually posted it on my Facebook page like a couple of days ago, just, when the Monique interview with Shannon dropped. And I said, one person's venting may be another person's triggering. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we're in a very interesting space just because a lot of what we're talking about, like everybody kicked it off and said, Cat kicked off the year of 2024 talking about this is the year of telling truth and all of that stuff. But, as culturally entertaining as that moment was,
Mm-hmm.
you know, now that everybody kind of has like calmed down from that moment, even looking at culturally entertaining as Monique is, right? I think there are a couple of things that are at play here. One is we look at the number of views of these conversations
Mm-hmm.
and we associate that with meaning that, oh my gosh, this must be the truth,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It's maybe a truth.
See, that's what I was going to get to, Doc. Like it's really, and I was doing, and I wanted to have this conversation on my show, where when we're talking about, well, what is truth, right? You're talking about something like an absolute fact,
Mm-hmm.
right? But in these cases, I know this might sound unpopular, but that's their truth. And that's what we've been saying. People have said, oh, well, Monique and Kat, they've been telling their truth. Even Country Wayne, I saw that interview as well.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, they're speaking their truth. There it is. That's the condition. That's the difference, because this their truth. That's whoever else they're talking about. And then they say that you have three elements of this: their truth, your truth, their truth, and the truth is somewhere in
Right.
the middle.
Right.
So it's cool that people want to speak their truth. I think that's all well and good. But I think it now gets to a place where when do the boundary, like you asked on the show today, for example, you know, talking about dealing with with the mushroom situation,
Right.
right? Like
How far do
you
we go?
asked about, yeah, how far do we go, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
do we need to listen to everyone's dirty laundry? Do we need to, as the old saying goes, do we need to see the dark side of the moon? Because
Mm-hmm.
when we see the moon, we just see the light. We see a moon. We don't know what's on the other side, but we know that there is another side. There's a dark side. Do we need to see the dark side of the moon? And
Right.
not all the time.
Right.
Because if you're exposing certain elements of people's lives or their character or their decisions, right? At the end of the day, it opens up this door, it opens up this box. And if you're exposing the dark side of people's character or people's humanity to a group of people who
Mm-hmm.
may not be healed to handle that, right? Now there's another thing that's happening. There's another effect.
Mm-hmm.
But so it's not necessarily as much as I listen to Kat, I can't definitively say, oh, that's the truth. I don't know the nature of your relationships with a Kevin Hart. I don't know the nature of your relationships with Steve Harvey. I don't know how you move. I'm not there in those moments.
Mm-hmm.
So I cannot definitively say, oh, that's the truth. That is really based upon my view of the person
Right.
that
Right.
you're
Absolutely.
talking about, right? And this is what I've learned early on in my media career. Those who have the microphone can dictate the story. It's like they say, like, you have the hunter and the hunted. Well, the
Right.
hunter is the one that can dictate the story. So we don't know. We probably will never know until after certain things come out. But then even in that point, at what point, back to your question, when do we not get enough? When do we
Right.
say, okay, all right, this is too much? Once I saw I'm gonna be honest with you. Once I saw the Monique interview, I was just like, okay, the sister sounded like she's telling the truth, seemed like she's bringing some receipts.
Sure.
But now, do we need any more of these type of expose type of conversations?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's just exposing people's information. Some of it is sharing your truth. Some of it is just being mean. Like when going into,
Yeah.
he had like a toupee the whole time. I mean, who cares? Who cares?
And
Like,
I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Like at the end of the day, like for those who are listening, for those of us who are listening, and Doc, I'm sure you've seen it. You've been reading about it because I've been seeing and reading about it. We're in one of the most isolated periods of life that this time frame has ever seen. We love to be in echo chambers. We love to hear people affirm our view of how we see the world, right? That's the space that we find ourselves in. Like our friends, like how many of our friends actually can speak their mind and then without the risk of losing their friendship, right? Because we want to constantly be affirmed. Now, is
Right.
that any individual's fault? No. But I think that just speaks to the culture that we're in. We want to be around people that think like us. And
Right.
if we're talking about healthy relationships, that can't be the metric.
Right. Right. No. It
You
can't.
can't be, sometimes I listen to, and I used to think the same exact way until I listened to a relationship specialist, a
Hmm.
therapist. She's been doing relationship therapy for 30 years. I forgot the woman's name. It's an older white woman.
Hmm.
But she said something. She said, just because somebody may agree with you or compatible, like the same thing, that doesn't mean that they're compatible,
Hmm.
right? And I think a lot of us, we have been grown and conditioned to believe that, oh, this person they like the same type of music, or they like the same type of thing. They like outdoor activities. So
Right.
therefore, we must be meant to be,
Right.
and we must going to have a successful relationship. And that is not the case.
No,
That's
it's
not the
not.
case. Like we don't. Why would we want to be in a relationship with ourselves? I don't. I want some differences. I
Right.
want you to like something different. I
Right.
want you to like, it doesn't have to be like, now small things, yes, that's certain things. We
Sure.
enjoy the same
But you
foods.
want someone that can strengthen your yin and yang, right? Your yin and yang. But
That's the balance.
this is the other thing
Yeah.
that I hate how much of that this whole period of time right now is so like I feel like we're reverting back to very homophobic conversations, which I
Mm.
mean, the puffy stuff and the conversations with Kat. And then what hit me today was, and I think it's wonderful, but Kat brought Monique on his tour.
Tour. Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm glad. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But then I all of a sudden I had this vision of, oh, the haters are banding together. Because to be honest, is the people that are more successful and established never spend time talking about the people that are not. But the people that are struggling spend a lot of time talking about the people that are upwardly mobile and doing things.
Come on.
And they come together, and then the haters come together because they need to have that support of all the haters coming together, right? And so I didn't feel like, yeah, that's great. Monique is with Kat, and this is great, and what have you. I felt like, oh, I got haters. Some of these haters are going to be watching this just because they like to hate. Okay.
And some people don't have haters.
Well, I very much doubt that you have haters, Faraji.
I don't think about it. I don't think about it. No, but some people. Well, if you have, you got to be doing something to be hated on, right? Like you have to really, really be doing something, right? And I think people always, one thing that from our conversations that you and I have either offline or on air is we talk about, how do you see yourself? Like you have to be your authentic self each and every time, whether you're in public or in private, just being consistent, being who you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I personally, like, I have never kind of, went into the space like, oh my gosh, my haters are, they don't want to see me. I am so focused on continuing to do what I believe is my purpose-driven life, to live my purpose-driven life, right? To do the work that I believe I was called to do by the divine. That I don't think about it. I legitimately don't even care. It's like, okay, if you're not feeling it, it's fine. That's what it is. That's what it is. But I'm working on my personal self-growth and my personal evolution. But I think that if we talk about this thing like, man, somebody hating on me, man, they always coming out like a lot of us, and I said this on the show today, like we are being conditioned culturally and in other ways to conform, to be like somebody else. We are always, and this is the other part about healthy relationships, when you talked about this earlier, the relationship with yourself. You cannot have a healthy relationship until you have a very good, strong, vibrant relationship with yourself. Meaning, and this is something that I learned in my therapy session,
Mm-hmm.
that you have to have a cohesive sense of self,
Mm-hmm.
that you accept all the different elements of who you are, and more importantly, that you not just accept it, but you it's like you living in your
Embrace.
own skin. You embrace it,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And then when you're able to fully embrace yourself to the
Mm-hmm.
point where you can admit, hey, look, this is who I am. These are my boundaries, and
Yeah.
all of those type of conversations. Like, now you're talking about a different level of relational intelligence, right? Because
Yeah.
you're stepping into an understanding of yourself. But
Yeah.
we're so disjointed. We're so broken up. And then I never forget this, doc. My therapist told me that. Here I am coming in, and I'm thinking it's one piece of myself, and she's like, nope.
Yeah.
I'm here to help to bring all the pieces together for you to accept
Exactly.
yourself.
That is good therapy, though, right?
Right. Oh
Because,
yeah. Oh yeah.
and I hate to say this, but I know people have done this. If the client is completely kind of ruling the
Hmm.
session, I've known people that go to therapy, present them their best selves.
Their representative. Come on.
They talk about, oh, they bring a little something to work on, whatever,
Mm,
but they're not even bringing the dirt that they need to work on. The
yeah.
therapist makes them feel good about themselves because look at your little minor problems that I'm able to help you with. And they walk out feeling tall, but just flawed in all the things that they should be working on. And it's a very expensive false therapy. It is about bringing all those pieces together, and you bring this up, for a great transition for us to really dig into what is relational intelligence. So this is a term that you brought up when I said, let's, I want you to come on the show. I want to kind of dig into another aspect of relationships, and you said, what about relational intelligence? So tell me a little bit about why you chose that, number one, and what it
I
means.
chose that because it seems like it was the missing link, right?
Mm,
Like we hear about IQ, which is your IQ stands for in terms of its what it means, intelligence quotient.
mhm,
Then you have, now we kind of move further along. It's not just the knowledge that you have acquired, but
mhm,
now you're talking about emotional intelligence or emotional quotient, right? EQ.
mhm,
And
mhm,
so emotional quotient is having an awareness of yourself and the emotions that you're feeling at any given point, and being able to articulate that, being able to really express that. And then now we're in a new place
mhm,
called RQ, or relational quotient, or relational intelligence, right?
mhm. Right.
And this is something that I read in Dr. Darius Daniels' book, Relational Intelligence. Here's a Black pastor.
Mhm,
And I think it's a phenomenal like idea and philosophy, because he wrote it from in the vein of scripture. He wrote it from the vein of Jesus and
mhm,
how he handled the relationships. And essentially, it means your ability to discern the relationships in your life, and to not put people in categories, but to know how to navigate and to groom and cultivate and put people in the proper places in your life where you still have a sense of self at the end of that or within that relationship, right?
absolutely.
Your ability to discern that.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, Dr. Bridget, when I read and I came across this, it was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, it blew me away, because in all of my years, I've had failed marriages. I've been going through all of this ups and downs and stuff, right?
Mhm,
Breakdowns of quote unquote important relationships. And I said to myself, like, damn, man, like, is this because I'm not a nice guy? It has nothing to do with nice in the sense of like how you treat people, but more importantly, we have an inability to really build relationships. And here's the big part: understanding that people that come into our space, into our orbit, everybody, I kind of laugh at folks when I say everybody can't go. Everybody can't be your friend, right? So in
Absolutely.
Dr. Darius Daniels' book, Relational Intelligence, he talks about it. You have friends, you have associates, you have assignments,
Mhm.
and you have advisors, right? And in each category, when you're talking about friend, you're talking about somebody that's very close to you that accepts you for who you are. You can show up as your authentic self. It's non-transactional. When you're
Mhm.
talking about associates, you're talking about people that you can build, right? But these might be people at your job. They know a little bit about you, but
Mhm.
outside of the job, they, that connection really wouldn't be there. Then you have assignments, and these are individuals who it's a transactional. Like you're giving a part of yourself, they're giving, if they may give something to you.
So
It's
for
interesting.
clarity, like an assignment is if I had a mentee, right? If I had
Yes.
someone who was coming to me and saying, I want you to mentor me, I want to get information from you, I want you
Right. Right.
to help me, right? And if
Right.
I'm the mentor, they're the mentee. So the assignment is the mentee.
The excitement is the mentee,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you put it in that context of mentor mentee. But
Mm-hmm.
how many of us have people, and I'm talking about grown ass men and women,
Mm-hmm.
who are in our lives and they need something from us,
Mm-hmm.
right? They need emotions. They might need some help professionally. But every time they come into our lives, every time they come into our space, we find ourselves giving something to them, right? To help them further along in some way, shape, or form.
So this is the
And
parasite. So if it's a mentee, we're cool. I know I'm giving. But if I think you're my friend, but I realize that you are actually a taker,
perfect,
that
perfect,
right? That you're the
perfect, right,
parasite that sucks energy, whew, time, knowledge, heart, emotion, that they're takers. Those
right,
are the assignments, right?
right, right. And
That's
and 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 Dr. Daniels mentioned that a lot of times those individuals who really serve as assignments in our life, we sometimes take them as friends.
that's the problem.
And so that inability to discern between whether somebody is bringing something to your life or taking something away from you, right? That's that right there. And I think we all experience this. Like we kind of justify to ourselves, like, oh, but this person, I've known this person since kindergarten, or this person came in. Yeah, people come into your life for a reason and for a season. I truly, truly believe that.
Mhm.
And if you are dealing with an individual that they might have started off being one type of person in your life, and y'all got to consider, we got to consider this, that none of this is a static situation. It's an ever evolving thing based upon the person, based upon that person, based upon you, based upon the circumstances, the nature of y'all becoming friends or y'all becoming, in each other's spaces. Like it's always evolving. And the thing about relational intelligence that I think is the hard part is really being intentional to say to ourselves, oh, okay, I know where to put this person. Because
Right.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Doc. I don't think it's hard. It's hard that we have to start like navigating where a person is, right? If we got all this stuff happening in our lives, if you got a relationship, or you might be single, you got children, or you work, all of these demands on our
Mhm.
minds, our hearts, our spirits, right? And so when you're talking about the people coming into your life, like if you think about the times that you were most vulnerable, you might have gotten out of a bad relationship, right? And then you open yourself up to somebody, right? And they're coming into your life, and you're like, oh, this person is just amazing. They don't, and then over time, you notice that your energy ain't getting better.
Right.
Your view of self, it has not improved. Your emotional, it's like, and this stuff like really lit up a light bulb in my head, right?
No,
It
and
was like,
I think
damn.
part of it for me when I looked at relational intelligence is that it empowers you to be the captain of your own ship. Okay.
Absolutely.
It allows you to say, I have people coming into my life. Okay. And I need to understand what purpose they serve, what my needs are. It's not coming from a selfish point of view, but
Right,
it's
right, right.
boundaries point of view, right? And you will realize there are people that suck all the energy out of you, and you were thinking that you were friends. And there might be people, and everybody knows somebody who they walk around and they're everybody's advisor. They just walk around and you're like, I didn't even want that from you. Like you keep putting this on me and telling me what you think I should do and what you want. And you're like, I thought you just had the desk next to me at work. Like, who are you? Right.
Right, right,
And then
right, right.
and then you have this. So I often go back to that that feeling, that gut feeling in your stomach, right?
Yep, yep,
Feeling where your intuition is like, this doesn't feel good. I think we've been taught to disassociate from that and say, oh, no, it's fine, or you'll get through it. And we disassociate from that intuition, that gut feeling of, I'm uncomfortable. This does not work for me. This isn't
yep.
what I expect. And that is why I think a lot of people have difficulties with their relationships, because there's some people that walk around and think everybody's a friend, right?
Oh
And
yeah, no doubt.
they're not. And so as soon as you realize
Whew.
you're captain of your own ship.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing about that, right? Because I mean, with my relationships and everything, like and once you get into your 40s, you start re-examining life and looking at life differently, right? So you're like, damn, man, like how do I keep finding myself in this place? Emotionally and mentally and spiritually, I'm still finding myself. And that's where I've been in that place so many times. And after a while, you just start asking yourself some very hard questions like, oh, well, did I do this on my own? Am I not paying attention to the signs or to the red flags or to the green flags, right? You know, asking the question when I'm feeling down, when I'm feeling like, not my best self, what happens? What is happening to me? What am I bringing in? Who am I bringing in? Right? Like you have to go to some deep level self work. And I think that is scary for a lot of people, especially when you're talking about healthy relationships. I remember having a conversation with a sister one time. I said, so you broke up with your ex or whatever. I said, let me ask you this question. Did you ever go to therapy? She was like, no. I said, let me ask you this question then. Did you ever take the time? And I'm only asking because I know I didn't do this when stuff started falling apart. So I just wondered, she said, did you ever take the time to really ask yourself, how much do I know about building a solid relationship? Like actually go and find a book or go and find some type of knowledge to fill your brain up to give you a different view of relationship. Did you ever do that? She's like, Doc, she said, no, I never thought about it. See, we're going through this, and this is including me. We have been conditioned by Hollywood and other influences that, quote unquote, when somebody comes into your life, they're going to sweep you off your feet. And that's a sign that is the quote unquote, the one, right? But the part that we don't hear often about is how do you prepare yourself to receive this person
and to make it a healthy one, right?
So if you know that you are not strong in an area, why would you keep? And this is the hard question. I say, damn, if I'm not strong in relationships for this reason and that reason, and I'm not, and I just like, why would I keep assuming that I have the knowledge? Why do I keep assuming that I know what I'm doing because there's a new person? You can take a new person, and I've done this. I have absolutely done this, thinking, oh, this is a new person, and thinking that they're going to save me from myself.
Stop, because that is
And
what
new people don't do that. I've
that's
done that.
what everybody thinks.
I've
That
done
you're
that.
gonna
I've
be with
done it, and
this-
I was completely wrong. And so when my madness went on to my ex, and I was like, oh man, she knew, blah, blah, blah. Oh my gosh, things are going to change. And then the dark side of me, the
Mhm,
old habits of me, all of those things started to creep back into the relationship.
mhm.
Now I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, wait a minute, hold up. It's not her. It could be anybody that comes into my life, and I will
Have
still
this.
do the same thing. I will still self sabotage. I will still, and I've done that.
So I
I've
think
done
a
that.
big part of it for me was asking myself, how many times do you want to learn this lesson?
Whoo,
How many times are you willing
whoo.
to learn? Because the cues are there. They're there.
Mhm.
You can choose to see them, or you can ignore them. You can choose to address, but the cues are there.
Yeah,
Everyone's like, oh, in hindsight, I do think they've been there the whole time. And usually these things aren't slight, they're obvious, they're in there. Okay.
oh yeah, oh yeah,
And once and again, it goes back to that gut feeling, because an interaction will be, you'll have that memory, you'll have that feeling in that gut memory of, yep, I remember this feeling. You can choose to ignore it, or you can say, how
come
many
on,
times do I and
come
I'm not
on.
saying you run from every relationship. That is not what I'm
No,
saying.
no, 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 no,
What I'm
no.
saying is recognize that gut feeling, recognize those emotions that you've had before, and then make good decisions around them. It might be like, I need to work on this because I've been in this situation before. It might be, I need to have a conversation about this because this makes me uncomfortable. And if I would talk about it, we could
Yeah,
resolve this. It might
yeah,
be, get my bags in this. I'm free, get the hell out of here because I've had this emotion, this feeling before.
yeah,
And not to put everyone in one basket. I don't want people overthink this,
yeah.
but there is something starting from where what you said initially, when you have developed a good relationship with yourself, you start to trust your own when you've done the work. you know I consider,
Mm,
I'm a professional,
mm.
I'm a physician, I'm a professional, I believe in what I do, I think I'm good at it. What the key here is to become a professional at you,
Whoo.
where I know me. I know my faults, and this is where you started the conversation, right? I know my faults. I know my quirks.
That's right.
I'm open to discovering new aspects of it. I feel good. I love myself, and even the parts that I don't like, I love because it makes me me,
Yeah,
right? And once you're a professional at you, you don't go into the relationship, as you said, to what I think you're
looking to be saved.
looking to be saved, because you did the work, right? And then you can discern, is this a road that I want to walk down again? Is this, obviously, I have a part in this. What part do I have in it? And how often do I want to keep having that part, right? We have the ability to shape the life we want if we do the work.
Let me tell you, Doc. You said so much in that response. I'm telling you. I think one of the most scariest, hardest, and yet the most rewarding journeys is the journey to know yourself,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
right? When you in this thing, right, of building relationships with other people, and you have to see yourself, I kind of had this personal mantra for 2024. My personal mantra is see things how they are, not what I hope or wish for them to be.
Be in the present.
Be in the present, right? Like you gotta see things for how they actually are at this particular moment. If you are a person that self-sabotages, if you are a person who has anxiety and trust issues, if you are a person that has some serious addictions, right? If you are a person that is bringing out that has baggage, right? And we all are working on it. We all are working on it. At some point, you're going to have to confront that part of yourself, right? And all of us have to confront that part of ourselves. Because guess what? It's going to come up. It's going to come up when you're trying to build, when you're connecting with another individual. It is going to come up. But then the other part of it is something that you mentioned. I think one of the scariest things is that when you don't know yourself, and even scarier, you can't trust your own intuition.
Yeah.
Right? Not trust your emotion, because your emotions can change from day to day. We know that, right? They come in, they come in. Now, not just disregard emotions, because emotions are also, and I'm trying to remember if this was mentioned in Dr. Daniel's book about relational intelligence, but they are signals, right? And for some reason, culturally, we have made emotions the enemy, where we are connected. I don't know how the hell you connect with somebody, right? You vibing with somebody, but you like, I'm catching feelings. And then you want to dip out.
Right, exactly. And then you consider, right.
You're like, bro, like, how, isn't that the whole purpose? Like, for a lot of women, that is a huge challenge to build with the man. And then, the man be like, hey, you be like, what happened? You seem like you kind of distant. Be like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? And then when it comes out down the road, I was catching feelings, and then I was afraid. You're afraid. And we've been taught to kind of be afraid of our own emotions, right?
Well, what existence is that? What type of life is that?
Look,
this human experience.
Me and my baby mother, we talk about this all the time.
And not allow yourself to truly let go and engage in what we do as humans that no other animal can really do.
It's the ability to feel.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, and I think this is one of the big things. If we don't want to catch feelings, you can't do certain. This ain't rocket science, right? If you don't want to quote unquote catch feelings for somebody, but you want to be super intimate with somebody, or you want to do all of the things that would bring people together.
You want them to be completely engaged with you, right?
But you don't want to give back. And I don't know if this falls under the category of emotional abuse, because you do want to, you're tapping into a person in a very fundamental level, and then you want to manipulate that and use that to get what you want to. It's abuse.
Manipulating.
It's a manipulating, because if we're talking about the current moment and the current culture of how people are connecting, it's very manipulative, right? All of us, I think, have the proclivity to do that. We all do. But you gotta know, because we have seen relationships, unfortunately, being very transactional. So it's let me, if we look at a very this is very what's the word I want to use? This is not true, but this is how relationships are presented. That women want money, guys want sex and intimacy.
This is completely, we are being brainwashed to destroy our relationships. We're being
this is crazy. As I have learned and I'm growing to understand myself in this space that I'm in, I understand that I am complex. I'm emotional as a child. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I don't make the best decisions when it comes to relating to other people. And I mean, I'm complex,
Hmm.
right? But we're at a place now, it's like, well, for I see it on social media a lot. If you want to make a man happy, just fix him some food. If you want to make a man happy, just do this in the bedroom. And it's like, come on, bro. Like, men, like if you are a man that's self-aware, if you are a man that have gone through some things in life,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Like that stuff is so
But this is
small.
where people are learning. Like they will say, my family doesn't isn't a good example. Like, where do you expect people to learn how to have healthy relationships? Because
You
I'm not
have to,
in therapy. My family's screwed up.
you
TikTok
and
told me
look,
how to have a relationship. That's what people are doing.
the best way to learn is by failing. You gotta fail. And you gotta fail. Sometimes we gotta fail bad, like hit rock bottom. Boom. That's how I learned. I failed. Boom. I had to admit to myself, I did not do this well. I can do some things well, but this ain't one of them right now.
Mhm, mhm.
Like I failed.
Then
And
you then decided to do the work to be better, and that's
well, because when you fail, especially if you are in a family situation or if when you fail, it's not just affecting you.
right.
You know what I'm saying? It affects other people, especially if you have children, right? So
Yeah.
you have to, at some point, you have to say to yourself, like, yo, how much of my own bullshit am I going to continue to take? You know what I'm
Okay,
saying? Like
Reggie, I think
you gotta get to that place. You gotta get to that place and be like, yo, I am I'm enough got to be enough for yourself. Like you got to get so dissatisfied. And this is what I was always taught. 100% dissatisfaction brings about 100% change. You have to be so dissatisfied with your own BS, with your
everyone
own
doesn't get
bull.
there though. Everybody doesn't get like
Well, let me tell you, people can get there, Bridget. Look, Doc.
people, everyone doesn't get there. Some people, they fail, they stand up, they brush themselves off, they do make the same mistake, they fall again. They're like, I don't know, something's wrong
And
with the
guess what happens in the course of that? Guess
book.
what happens? You got children out of those relationships with women or men that you never really felt, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're emotionally a wreck.
You don't, there are people that will never have
I,
accountability.
I feel you on that. I do feel you on that. But I do. And this might just be just my take on in terms of understanding. I feel like in the course of our lives, right? Whether you're blessed to be on this great planet for 50, 60 years, 100 years, however long you have, at some point in your life, you're going to have to face yourself. I truly, truly believe that, right? Because that's how life is justified, right? Nobody, you can hold, like you said earlier, you can say, oh, my mother was this type of mother, my daddy wasn't home. But at some point, you got to get past the excuses and say, you know what? This is me. Because your life is not going to move forward. It's going to show. I don't care what kind of car you drive, what kind of house you live in, you're going to feel like, damn, I spent all this time, because that's what's really passing. Time, time. They say the internet is what we often say about the internet, that is unforgiving, or that the internet is undefeated. Time is undefeated.
Mm,
And y'all know that when we get to a certain age, when you get 50 years old and
mm,
you look at your relationships and you got a string of, you might have 3 or 4 children by different people.
mhm,
You look at those relationships, you're not in a solid place. Like your life, you have to take stock of your life,
mhm.
especially when you get older. 50, 55, 60, you still out in the street, running the streets and playing
Yeah,
games and
yeah.
what I mean?
So,
And we know it happens. And the people, I don't care. I don't care. And I know people are lying when they act as if that stuff doesn't bother. Man, I'm good. I'm good. Like that's when I know I'm like, boy, you are not good. When I hear sisters say, no, I'm good. I'm good. Like, sis, you ain't good.
So I think it also goes down to not only knowing these relational intelligence and these different categories that you put people in based on your boundaries, but it's also just the company you keep.
Right,
Just
right, right.
right? And if you are around a bunch of people who are saying, like you said, I'm good, guess what? You're the next one. I mean, it's a
And
proof.
that goes back to your friend. That goes back to the relational intelligence, where you figure out your friends. Your friends should empower you, right? Your friends, you should be around people who can check you. They
Mhm.
should lift you up when you're down. And if you get so like out of touch with reality about who you are and what you are and all of those things, right? They can kind of keep you in a tempered space. Like, yeah, you're a great person, but just know, what I'm saying? Like, we all got shortcomings, right? And I
Right.
think in this modern time, like in our culture, especially with social media,
Mhm.
you know, everybody, it's like Simone Biles' husband, you know what I'm saying? Like Jonathan Owens, and how he's like, there's this view that I see a lot of young black men starting to have is like, well, I'm the prize. I'm the one that you need. And it's like, it's all good. It's good to have some healthy self-esteem. But personally, I'm not going around and say I'm the prize because I might be, I don't know, I might not be your cup of tea.
Yeah, but now with social media, we're in a space of so much more pseudo narcissistic behavior. We're grooming. I don't want to say the narcissist because narcissism is really a huge issue in itself. So I'm not saying that's what it is, but we're grooming pseudo narcissist behavior. Teenagers tend to be narcissists because of developmentally they have to then
Yeah,
focus inward. But as an adult, you then start to focus outward. The problem is social media has created a culture of inward about me, how many likes, who likes me, what do I look like,
yeah,
what am I doing, what kind of
yeah,
false theme can I provide so people
yeah,
think a certain way about me. But I
yeah.
love this idea of the relational intelligence. I think it's something that people really need to sit back, evaluate, ask themselves some questions about. I can, I shared an article which I'll put on my page, and I can also share the book that you were looking at as well, Faraji. But
Yeah,
just
yeah. It's awesome. I'm sorry. I didn't mean I was just
I think it's an
bad.
yeah, I'll put it in my link tree as well. But for people to understand that relational intelligence is knowing who you are, where you're starting from, and being able to discern these four categories of friends, associates, assignment, which is a very nice word, but understand what that may or may not mean, as well as the advisors, and then determine what you need from people. So, and not in a selfish way, but just so that you have a life of balance and that is healthy.
Can I throw something else in the mix too about this doc? I think is important, and I know I personally struggle with this. Boundaries,
Boundaries, I
boundaries,
struggle with it too.
setting boundaries, right? Like
Mhm.
setting boundaries, right? Like there are two. I think that's super important. I also think that privacy. I'm an advocate that even in an intimate relationship, everybody should have their space, their
Mhm.
privacy,
Mhm.
right? Like I don't, and this is not on some you trying to do something crazy because I think that's crazy.
Privacy and
Like,
secrecy are two different things.
yeah, privacy, you're absolutely right. Privacy and secrecy are two different things, right?
Mhm.
And so for me, privacy is healthy.
Mhm.
This is a your time for people, and I think that that's part of the issue as to why we're seeing this. Like, we unfortunately, like when you meet somebody nowadays, they want to love bomb the hell out you, meaning that they just want to take all of your life, right, in some
Mhm.
way, shape, or form. I want you to think about me all the time. I want you to, dream about me all the time. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? They just love bomb you, right? And we see this behavior a lot more from just based on my experience. I can't speak for the women, but I know some dudes. I've seen dudes love bomb women,
Well, yeah,
and
it's a way to trap.
it's a huge trap.
Mhm.
It's a huge trap, right? And manipulative and all of those things. It's very unhealthy, right? You meet somebody one day, and then the next week they talk about, can I go come see your children? When y'all got the next family out, you should bring me over. Let me meet the kid. Like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
We don't have no time. Where's the time in
People
this?
rush, right? Like they see something that may be good, they rush it, and like you said, I feel like your privacy. It kind of goes back to our conversations even about self-care.
Yeah,
That that privacy is the time, just like in a relationship, you spend time with your partner.
yeah,
Your privacy is the time that you spend with yourself. And I'm not saying painting your nails, though that may be, but it's the time for your brain. It's time for your peace. It's time to reflect. A lot of people do not reflect because it's very scary up in here and they don't want to do it. So they just keep having, engaging with other people so they don't have to spend time with
yep,
themselves. But to
yep,
have that time to reflect and to be at peace with yourself
yep.
allows you to have healthy relationships with others.
And why wouldn't you want that privacy? You know what I'm saying? Like why wouldn't you want to give your
A lot of people are
partner,
scared to be alone.
you know what I'm saying? And I get that. And I get that. But see, again, if you're scared to be alone, then that is something that you have to work on. You see what I'm saying? That
Mhm.
is something that you should know, and you should tell your partner that. Like, look, sometimes I'm gonna just need my alone time.
Mhm.
And if your partner, if the person that you're interested in is like, well, I mean, why got you? Why do you have to spend and like really balk at that? Like, you gotta ask yourself the question, like, bro, like, if this is the person that I really want to, if you're already giving me feedback about me asking for alone time,
Yeah.
what can I expect when at the end of the day? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And you got to give people space to be themselves, right? Like,
Absolutely.
I've learned that after all of the ups and downs of my relationship, I've definitely learned that that is necessary. Like, you got to give people the space to be themselves, and
Yeah.
and it's an important thing. It's an important thing.
Right.
We emphasize like, oh, you gotta be with somebody, or this is the one, so therefore they gotta go through life and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Me and my baby mother, we vibe, we close, but she got her space and I got my space.
Yeah. That's
You know
good.
what I'm saying?
And the thing is that if you are like a plant that's being choked out by a weed, can't grow.
Absolutely,
You got to give
absolutely.
it space. You got to give it some space.
Absolutely. And the greatest thing, just real quick, is that we spend money, we can spend all of these things, but the greatest thing that we spend that we can't get back is time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The greatest thing is that we can't get back is time.
Absolutely. So relational intelligence, I absolutely love this conversation. And first of all, this is just how we talk anyhow. This is just us. We just got to see it today, right? So
Right,
always
right, right.
incredible to be your friend and to have you on here today for this kind of inaugural.
Please.
So
Thank
I
you. I'm
appreciate you so
honored.
much. Very exciting to have you, and definitely share about you and the show. And if you're not watching it, you're missing out. So please share.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just to let y'all know, Dr. Bridget is dope. She's doing some fantastic things, moving the culture in a lot of different ways. And one of the things that I do really appreciate about you, Doc, is the fact that you really listen, you really think about things, but more importantly, you think about the impact. And I know that even though you're in spaces and you're around a lot of different people, especially when it comes to the whole work that you do around cannabis,
Mhm.
like you're like, let's make sure we have some measured approach. And I respect that. And I respect that. Let's make sure we have a solid understanding of what's at stake here. And I respect that, right? Because we can go into a space of becoming a zealot for
Yeah,
certain things.
right. What is the
And
impact of
and
everything?
you gotta think about that.
What is
We gotta think about that because Lord, oh my gosh, last thing we need is 5 years down the road, you on the wrong side of history because you told people,
absolutely, absolutely.
oh, you should do that or you should do this. You're like, well, I mean, that's
And
what
I've
I've
done
learned.
that. I came into my career at the peak of the opioid epidemic. and those prescriptions were flying. And so I'm very much aware of what is the impact, and think for ourselves, all about the research, all about what's out there, but think for yourself, because we're in a culture where everything is very, there's a lot of propaganda, things are
Yeah.
swayed. What do
Yeah.
you really think? How does it impact you, instead of just going with the themes and things that are going on in our culture? So thank you, Faraji, for coming on.
Thank you, Doc. Appreciate
Absolutely. Watch the Culture with Faraji Muhammad, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. And you'll see me on there on Mondays, starting at 4 o'clock Eastern. And I appreciate us having this conversation where we accept nothing less than healthy relationships.
Absolutely. Thank you, Doc. Truly appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.